Alright guys, Lqgend. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Some massive matchups today at Major 1 as we go forward to try to crown a champion. Falcons and OpTic both in action today. They can't play each other today, but they potentially could on the Championship Sunday. A rematch could be in order if things go to plan today for both of those teams. Especially interesting after Pred's comments yesterday on his current and his former AR teammates. Lots of reaction to said comments. Pred gives them a clarification as well. Lots of interesting games today. Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Lots to get into. We're going to start with challenges because yesterday some big results. We did talk last night. The Stallions Black, they went down in a best of 3 to the Huntsmen. But today, from losers round 4 and onwards, things become best of 5s. They get a little bit more serious. And Stallions Red are still in the upper bracket for now. But they've got a big game on their hands. Again, this is why seeding and success online is particularly important. Because really you want to be a good seed. So as you go forward in the tournament, you don't have to play difficult matches until later on. But look, it's inevitable that at some point you're going to have to play some good games. Here's Coach Dylan and Tatch and the Stallions boys. This is a glimpse of the setup they've got there at the hotel across from the venue. Now, Encourage says 2-0 against 5 Fears. That was actually a clip of the game 1 that they won against 5 Fears right about there. But these are the big games in the upper side. Winners round 4, streamed matches on Alpha. It's going to be Bush versus Stallions Red. That's a banger to start things off. Falcons Green play Omit Brooklyn, a Lurqxx team of course. P7 Notorious, the winners of the most recent elites like Big Wake and those guys. They play Next Threat GG, Diamond Con, the kind of former Doug team I believe anyway. And then the other Falcons Academy team, they play the Huntsmen. So yeah, you couldn't ask for a much spicier bracket than that on the upper side. Now, a few clips I've got to share. Some of which, of course, coming out of the Ravens. I will say, like, this is like a McDonald's thing. Obviously, we know they're probably the wrong fast food joint for the Burger King. But, you know what we're getting at here. Eggs had a few comments on Exceed. It's not been a great time over the last couple of days. Yeah, he flew in a little bit late. Ravens are talking a big game. I think there was a lot of talk about Slasher, right, in the online stint. And maybe for good reason. Slasher came on our show and said, look, Exceed's come in. Exceed was talking kind of a big game. He did sat down in one of the interviews after one of the matches and say, look, some of these veteran players, they don't know how to get the best out of the rookies. That was kind of Exceed's perspective. And that seemed to be a bit of a slight on Slasher to say, look, Slasher just isn't able. And look, Exceed probably has a point there to an extent, right? Like Slasher, we know that he doesn't particularly enjoy playing with a ton of players that need a lot of guidance and need a lot of help. One of the reasons why. And also I just think when you've been world champion, you've played for many top teams, and then you're stuck on the poverty orgs, it's pretty demoralizing, right? So I'm not surprised that Slasher decided to call it a day. But equally, after Slasher stepped away and the team got so much better online, they're winning everything, it's like, okay, hang on a second, how bad was this Slasher guy? But Slasher made the point, look, let's see how it goes on LAN, because this time last year, to the credit of Ravens and whoever was on that team, well, it was obviously Slasher, TJ, Gwinn and Vivid, that team of 4, they were good online, right? They came second at the minor last year. They were doing pretty well. They're winning all the game 5s. They've 3-0'd FaZe, right? Like, Ravens looked good online this time last year with a very different team, but it was still the Ravens. Then they turned up to LAN and they replicated it. They came 4th on LAN at Major 1 in Madrid. So Slasher's argument was like, look, yeah, looking good in online COD is one thing, but you go to LAN, let's see how it goes there, right? And yeah, I don't think Slasher's tweeted anything. I thought he might have had something in the drafts, but look, no, maybe he's going to wait until the weekend's over, or maybe he's just going to take the moral high ground on this one and let everyone else do the talking for him. But yeah, look, I'm not saying Ravens can't get good maybe on LAN in the future. I think Lurqxx is a real talent, but it's just, yeah, as all the talk about the Burger King becoming, I don't know, gourmet burger chef, it doesn't seem like much has changed. We've turned up to the major. The other clip, though, was coming out of Pred. So, of course, Falcons got the win yesterday. They took down Cloud9. Some pretty competitive series. Cloud9 definitely could have won it, but yeah, they're just not good. They just bottled the game 1 bad. Pred and the boys get the job done. Exceed had a big bounce back series. We know that he had a tough time against OpTic on the first day. But Pred gave some thoughts on selling him, right? It's obviously interesting to play with Cell. You can see some of the crowd's reaction here to the comments. And look, Pred's played with a lot of great ARs. He's played with Accuracy. He's played with Arcities, right? Like, Arcities obviously double world champion. among others. But Dashy would be the notable one because he won champs for them, right, a couple of years ago. And obviously, with the OpTic fans in the venue, this comment did not go down especially well. But Pred clarified it and kind of gave, when I talked to him, gave a little bit more context as to why he feels like Cellium, from his perspective, is the best that he's ever played with. And of course, look, he's also going to gas up his own teammate, right? That shouldn't be a massive surprise. But just the idea of him making these comments about Cell with the OpTic crowd there, and the fact that they played OpTic, obviously, and Dashy took them down on the first day. Dashy's record against Cellium's pretty good, and for now, Falcons have a serious losers run to make, whereas OpTic have a winners run to make. It was obviously a comment that was going to draw a little bit of reaction.
Look, man, I told you, you can flip a coin 1,000 times. Sometimes there will be a hot streak of heads. Things will reverse to the mean.
5 times in a row.
This cat's getting cooked. And it's not just him. The Burger King lived up to his name as well. I don't know where Xyz went. Xyz came in hot, like, oh, Slasher's ass. I'm back in the league. Disappeared on land. So yeah, I really don't know what to say, Tom. And to be honest, too, like, bro, not only did they lose, like, they looked bad against Vancouver.
Yeah.
Of all teams.
Yeah,
yeah, so the only one time that was doing this thing was obviously Lurqxx. Oh, that's a stallion, right?
Yeah, it's a stallion.
yeah. So that's why, Tom. But everybody else, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
AR selling him, you know, he was popping off here, and we know how scary he can be when he is on point. What can you say about him and his performance today?
In my opinion, I think he's like the best AR I've ever played with. I mean, Cellium, he's the greatest.
Simply, whoa. Hey. The crowd may feel different, but
No, he loves it. He started cracking up as soon as they started.
You still got more
Comments on that?
I mean, look, man, I played with Dashy, which is obviously him and MC are like fighting to be the greatest ARs. But for me, I just Cellium, just seeing what he does, I think no one does what he does. I think his name speaks for himself. I mean, season MVPs, tournament MVPs. We have a thing called the Cellium Index, like it's Cell, you know, like he's just gross, bro. Like, you know, Dashy's obviously gross as well. They're both gross, but seeing the things I get to see with MC is like pretty unbelievable. And his work ethic is what stands out, man. Like, you would think a guy like that pulls up to practice, like not really caring. Like, he is like cares so much, which is like what I really love about him.
NRG close it out. That makes sense. Let's just see piss around.
I just said, Brand, you hear that? He goes, no, what?
We play the loser of this match.
When it comes to the respawns against lower level.
Did you hear that shit, Matt?
Oh yeah, the guy
What happened?
going bonkers. It was a
Fred got asked how it's like playing Cellium, and he said that Cell's the best ARs ever played with. The fans didn't like that too much, man.
3 world champions around him.
Did not like that too much,
Imagine they
man.
would, right?
Let's take a look at
Why
his
not?
numbers from
Kind of
this
insane count from Fred, no?
It is, yeah.
But at the same time, can you fucking fault him for it, gassing up his teammates?
No, I can't. I can't, man. He just watched him 1v3 that just won a series.
So it looks like Dashy heard about this, right, through Karma as well. So, look, if they do rematch, they can't rematch today based on the bracket that we'll discuss in a second, but they could potentially rematch on Sunday if Falcons make the run through the bracket today. But, you know, who knows what the chances of that actually happening are. So, yeah, let's see how it goes from now to the end of the tournament. OpTic, of course, do find themselves in a pretty good position. They couldn't have asked for a much better bracket so far. And as far as I understand, today and definitely tomorrow, it's going to be busy in that venue. It's already been busy Thursday, Friday. Friday is typically like one of the more dead days because you're playing a load of the losers bracket matches. But there was still quite a lot of noise in yesterday's venue. And today, when OpTic play, it is going to be a lightning in there. That is for sure. So yes, we'll see if the home crowd advantage benefits OpTic or if the nerves get to other teams as a result or whatever. We'll see if the drums come to play. Also today is the ring ceremony, right? I believe that's going to be happening before the matches get underway. I think that's what they did last time out. So that's what I'm expecting anyway. I don't know if they would do it. I don't know, maybe they'd do it before OpTic Series or something. I'm not exactly sure of the schedule. But yeah, the ring ceremony is meant to be today on the Saturday. The OpTic boys will collect their World Championship rings from 2025. And of course, this time it's the same roster, right? Because last year, by the time Major 2 came around and they were collecting their rings, Kenny got his ring, but he wasn't on the team anymore. They'd won in Skies. It was a bit of a nightmare. But this time, hopefully, things will be nice and clean. Even Nature on Formal gave some thoughts on Cellium and said, I'm looking for an excuse to be like, this guy's a selfish player. Obviously, Pred believes otherwise. Some interesting numbers. Super, I think it was Super's birthday yesterday. And again, he had an absolutely diabolical performance in Search and Destroy with a 2.5 KD, 30 and 12. He went on the day, pretty remarkable. Xnid dropped 60 or 74 kills in hardpoint, so these were some of the standout players. Obviously, Drazah had a very good bounce-back series against Boston, not quite so in the first game. And Lunarz was a real star of the show, although now Surge are knocked out of the tournament by the Surge, or by the Heretics. It'd be pretty impressive to get knocked out by themselves, but maybe that's what that organisation has done, a self-sabotage over the last couple of years. This is the bracket. Gentlemates Thieves, G2 OpTic, and then the 2 losers games. There's actually 3 losers games to be played today. So 3 more teams get eliminated. There's currently 7 teams left in the tournament. At the end of today, there will just be our 4 Championship Sunday appearers. What a banger upper bracket. I mean, Thieves Gentlemate is fantastic on paper. Paris, I think, are going to be considered marginal favourites there. I had them as marginal favourites to win the event. Thieves could definitely win the event, but also Thieves took down Ravens, but then Ravens got knocked out by Surge, right? So you got to say, okay, maybe that Thieves win wasn't as impressive as it initially appeared, although I still think they played some good stuff. This, however, is a bigger challenge, and it's also a grudge match in many respects, and we've seen it online, now we're going to see it on LAN. Ghosty, Envoy versus their former team, right? Thieves made the call. They dropped those guys. They got rid of them straight off the organisation, and now they formed a, it wasn't like Gentlemates was exactly a team of leftovers, but to a certain extent, kind of, yeah, right? Like Neptune probably would have expected an offer from Thieves or from FaZe. Maybe not expected is the right word, but I think Neptune was definitely thinking that that could have been a possibility. That didn't happen, and as a result, Gentlemates made the most sense. Obviously, Ghosty and Envoy, they found themselves dropped, so that's where they were going to end up. And Simp, we thought maybe the Falcons could be an option there, but of course, Cellium went instead. So, but the Gentlemates roster on paper, lots of talent. I think my opinion on Paris is I still have some concern about if, let's say they go through a really horrible stint. I have belief that OpTic can get it right, can turn it around. They've shown that in the past. Obviously, they did roster changes and all this last year. But OpTic have proven to be resilient to a bad stint, and they can come back. Obviously, we don't know what it's like for other teams. Gentlemates, there is probably a fear, given the personalities, that if things start to go wrong internally, it could go very wrong internally. So my kind of feeling is, if they're going to win, they got to win now. Right? I'm not saying they can't get better as the season goes on, but if they're going to be good, I think they're going to be good early. So this is definitely a tournament they will want to advance forward in. That's a great game. I mean, it could easily be a game 5. If it does go 5, I do have a little bit more faith in Gentlemates Search, I think. So I'm going to lean their way, and I did pick them winning the tournament, so I got to stick with that one. G2 OpTic, other winners bracket game, another banger game. I mean, Shotzzy, when he sat down with me after beating Falcons, I asked him, who would he prefer to play, FaZe or G2? And he said FaZe. And, people were saying I was reaching here. Maybe I was. I don't know. What do you guys think? But effectively, he said that he'd prefer to play FaZe. And G2 are just as good as FaZe. That was pretty much his perspective, because that series was about to happen. And he said, G2 could easily win that. He basically called the upset. So I wonder if OpTic, based on their scrims, they feel that G2 are just as much of a threat. Maybe more of a threat, maybe less of a threat, whatever. But I think that Shotzzy was of the opinion that G2 are certainly not an easier game than FaZe would have been. That was his perspective. So I think that's also a good perspective to have, because it'll mean they'll take him serious, because you don't want to underestimate a team like G2. With Kremp and the guys they have on their roster, they have immense confidence always, and I think that does carry them a long way. We know that they love going to a game 5 as well. Look, I think OpTic will have enough to get over the line in this series, but I think this is gonna be a competitive series. If OpTic win comfortably, I don't expect G2 to win comfortably like they did against FaZe, but it'll be impressive if one of these teams is able to vanquish the other without too much of a threat. The loser plays Heretics, so the loser will not expect precisely, but they'll be pretty confident they can make it to the Championship Sunday. And then FaZe Falcons is the first game of the day. So this is how the schedule looks. FaZe Falcons to crack on with the day. Cellium versus FaZe, absolute banger. The loser goes home immediately. The winner advances to play the loser of Paris and Thieves later in the day. So, I'll talk a bit about this Falcons OpTic battle. That's going to be, for them to get there, it's going to be quite the run from the Falcons to beat 2 of those teams in a day. Don't know if the odds are really in their favour on that one, but very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. these are some proper matches today, and very excited to see how things go from the venue. So very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
We're going to send it over to the analysis desk with Duffman with Methods.
Hello everybody, my name is Methods here, joined with Duffman. We just saw the European players get eliminated by Denial. We saw a 3-1 victory on behalf of Denial. I was actually able to call that. Duffman, what did you think so far?
Benson just dyed his hair black. Like in 30 minutes, just dyed his hair black, and he's on stream right now.
You like that?